Hi, I'm Matthew Butterfield.
Hi, I'm James Rickard.
Hi, my name is Alex Osmond.
I'm Nicholas Schuster.
Hello, my name is Zach Donaldson.
Hi, I'm Natalie Camilli.
Hi, my name is Jonah Blackwood.
I'm Trevor Wygan.
Hello, my name is Hayden Smith.
Hi, my name is Claire Williams, and welcome to the Seneca Scout.
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 And this is the Seneca Scout.
And you're watching the Seneca Scout.
And this is the Seneca Scout.
And welcome to the Seneca Scout.
Good evening, Seneca Valley. I'm Nicholas Schuster, and tonight we bring you a great assortment of stories from the Kansas primary to the Pulitzer Prize winners to a new Star Wars movies to Tom Cruise in space. Now let's go over to Matt Butterfield on the Kansas primary to start us off tonight.
Thanks, Nick. The Kansas primary took place last Saturday with over 140,000 votes being cast. Former Vice President Joe Biden won over 75% of the votes, giving him 29 of Kansas's 39 delegates, with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders coming in second, just winning 10 delegates. Right before the primary took place, both Biden and Sanders' campaigns had announced that Sanders will be keeping his delegates. A poll by Public Policy Polling was conducted which surveyed the people of Iowa to see who they were going to vote for in November. The results showed that 48% of people would vote for President Trump, with 46% saying they would vote for Biden. This shows a great difference in the results in the 2016 election, where President Trump won 51% of the vote and Clinton just won 41%. Over to you, Trevor.
Thanks, Matt. In our last two shows, I've explained what drones are and what a recreational drone license is. I also went over what a Part 107 license is, but now I'm going to show you how to get a Part 107 from the FAA. A Part 107 can allow you to get special permission to fly in some restricted airspaces. A Part 107 also has regulations you must follow, and in order to get a Part 107, there is an FAA knowledge exam you must pass to get your license. To study for this exam, there are classes you can take online that range from $200 to $250. You can also find these classes on sale sometimes. These classes are very helpful. Pass or fail, it costs $150 per test. My advice is to not take the test until you know you're ready. When ready, find the closest FAA testing center by going to one of the websites listed below. There are 700 FAA approved test centers around the country. These licenses need to be renewed every 2 years, and you must pass a recurrent knowledge test. This is how to get an FAA Part 107 license. Thanks for joining me these last 3 weeks, learning all about drones. Now, let's go over to Hayden.
Thanks, Trevor. This year's Pulitzer Prize winners have been announced. The Pulitzer Prizes feature a number of writing awards for various categories, with a large focus on journalistic categories such as investigative, national, and local reporting. However, there are also several non-journalistic categories, such as fiction, biography, and music. There are 23 total categories this year. Unfortunately, with everything that's going on in the world this year, the Pulitzer Board could not meet in person to discuss the categories, and there could be no physical award ceremony. So instead, the board chose to meet virtually, and the winners were announced online. And now, over to Claire.
Thanks, Hayden. To add to JCPenney's financial struggles before the pandemic, the retail giant officially filed for bankruptcy on Monday, May 4th, after not being able to pay a $12 million interest payment due on April 15th. While the store is now in a legal fight with Sephora after filing a restraining order to prevent the makeup brand from leaving JCPenney, a number of other large retailers are predicted to be facing bankruptcy in the near future. Companies like Neiman Marcus, Sears, and Macy's and Capri Holdings, who were struggling with the large switch to online shopping previously and have large amounts of debt, may be next in the collapse of retail giants. Off to you, Nick.
The NFL announced on Tuesday that it will begin coming out with the game schedule for the 2020 season on Thursday, which took place last night on a 3-hour special on NFL Network. They also announced there will be no international games this year amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Commissioner Roger Goodell made the call to ensure consistent protocols focused on well-being of players, personnel, and fans, so the NFL claims. While this is definitely a disappointment to some, this is what is best for the well-being of the health of the NFL and its fans.
Thanks, Nick. A lethal insect indigenous to Japan made its first appearance in the U.S. this fall in Washington state, causing beekeepers and state officials to jump to action alike. The Asian giant hornet, or as it has been popularly dubbed, the murder hornet, is notable for its potential to grow up to 2 inches, large mandibles, and stinger that penetrates beekeeper suits. While frightening enough to the general population, agricultural experts are starting to fear the damage the insects could have on the United States food supply, as murder hornets are notorious for terrorizing and wiping out smaller honeybee hives within hours. With 35% of the food supply being dependent on animal pollinators, Washington state officials and scientists hope to eradicate their presence in the United States before large-scale damage could be caused to bee colonies. Off to you, Alex.
Thanks, Zach. Last Monday, May 4th, was a big day for Star Wars news. It was announced that Taika Waititi would direct a new Star Wars movie set to release on a date that is yet to be announced. Waititi was the director of such films as Jojo Rabbit, What We Do in the Shadows, and Thor Ragnarok. Many fans are hopeful yet skeptic about this new project, given the negative reception of the last few films in the franchise. The specific details of the setting, characters, and plot of the new movie are yet to be determined, but Waititi is familiar with the Star Wars franchise as he directed the final episode of the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. Waititi will co-write the untitled Star Wars project with Christy Wilson Cairns, who is known for also co-writing the movie 1917. Now, over to you, Parker.
Thank you, Parker. Welcome back to my weekly movie suggestion. This week, I'm representing the University of Pittsburgh. And let's get right into this week's movie suggestion. Lord of War, starring Nicolas Cage, is about a Russian arms dealer named Yuri Orlov. Yuri came from a family that had nothing, and he was able to build an empire making millions of dollars selling guns to warlords in Africa and in developing nations. While Yuri started selling these arms with no reservations about the guilt involved with starting wars in developing nations, after meeting the love of his life, reconnecting with his brother, and having a son, he started to have some moral issues when it came to the arms dealing. This intense, action-filled drama will take you on a ride all around the world as Yuri sees the implications of his business for the first time. Will he remain in the arms business, or is it not too late to back out and save his life with his wife and son? This film is one of my favorites because the cinematography and storytelling is incredible and the acting is great. One of my personal favorite films with Nicolas Cage. I hope you enjoy it, and check back next week for the next weekly film suggestion. Thank you. And now over to Jonah Blackwood with an interesting story about Tom Cruise and the potential for his next film.
Now, continuing with the topic of movies, celebrity and actor Tom Cruise, known for starring in Mission Impossible films, will be seen next filming an action film on the International Space Station. Very little has been revealed about the film at the moment. However, it is known that this film will be a collaboration between Elon Musk's SpaceX program, NASA, and Tom Cruise. It is a known collaboration thanks to a tweet by the NASA administrator Jim Bridenstine confirming they're working together, and a tweet from Elon Musk saying, "Should be a lot of fun." The first SpaceX spacecraft launch with astronauts is set for May 27th to go to the International Space Station. However, there is no knowledge of whether Tom Cruise will be on that launch or not. Currently, this movie is unaffiliated with the Mission Impossible films or any film studio, but more information will be soon to come. Thank you, and now on to Matt Ditmore.
Thanks, Jonah. Today I'm here to tell you about casting. Metal casting, because why not? I'm bored, it's quarantine, and I decided to build a foundry. So, basically, what this is, or what casting is whenever you take metal, you melt it down, and then you pour it into some sort of mold, so that metal can harden and you get a physical shape out of whatever that mold was, completely made out of metal. Now, this may sound pretty hard, but in reality, it's not that hard if you actually get the right materials for it. It can actually be pretty inexpensive as well. So I'm here to show you how to do that. As for the bucket here, it's actually pretty simple. It's just a galvanized steel bucket lined with some fireplace brick, some K-wool, and some refractory cement just to seal it all in. The bucket actually doesn't reach above about 80 degrees Fahrenheit on the outside if you actually can line it correctly. So to actually get the heat up in the bucket, you can't just attach fuel and turn that on and expect it to go. You actually need a burner. And for that burner, I chose to actually use this really cheap $25 Harbor Freight burner. It's meant for burning weeds, but for some reason it can go up to 3000 degrees Fahrenheit. To get this in the bucket, you actually just need to bore a small hole in the side. I used a hole saw for that. This is actually about 2.5 inches right here, and then on the lip it's a bit bigger than that. So whenever I unscrew this top part, I can just slot it into the bucket. The lip catches on it, so it's not going to fall out or anything. So once you've got your burner in, you've got your heat going, you actually need something to put the metal in. For this, you would use a crucible. And a crucible, you can just buy like a ceramic mixture one online, or you could actually make one of your own. If you take a fire extinguisher that's actually made out of steel, you can use one of those as a crucible if you just cut it in half. But again, I would recommend just buying a crucible online. They're not too expensive. So once you've got your burner in, it can work like that, but you'd probably need some sort of oxygen intake if you're trying to get it up hot enough. And for that, I would use something such as this electric leaf blower, because it's just really simple to plug in and then put up to another hole that you can bore, and then it just gets a swirl of oxygen in there. It burns really hot, really fast, and it's just generally a good idea to find some sort of air source to be putting into your bucket. As for the casting, something simple just as sand in a plastic bucket will work. You can make a small divot and then pour your aluminum into that. It'll cool pretty quickly, you can quench it in some water, and you'll get a small ingot out of that. But if you're actually looking to cast some intricate shapes, it's fairly simple because you can actually take styrofoam, cut something out of that, whatever shape you want to. If you were to put that into the sand and then pour that aluminum over that styrofoam, it actually burns the styrofoam away and leaves aluminum in that shape. Of course, this is going to require a little bit of sanding afterwards, just to make sure you get all the sanded imperfections off. After that, you should have the shape that you're looking for. It's really cold and snowing for some odd reason, so off to you, Andy.
Thanks, Matt. Well, that's it for this week on the Seneca Scout. Hope everyone had a fun time, and we'll see you next week.